So today we're doing something a little bit differently. We're talking about 2025. Now 2024 has been an amazing year, and obviously what I've been able to do with this channel is something that actually I found really incredible. I thought that if I posted these videos I would get 1 or 2 views, and in fact over the last few months I've got 860 of you guys to subscribe, and I've hit over 1.2 million views, which is huge for me. I didn't think people would watch the content, and hopefully all I can do in the future is make better content and up my production value. So that opens up the thing of 2025. What is my intention? Well, first of all, it's to stick to kind of open as usual, so to speak. We're going to keep to the 1 short a day, and those always go out between either 3 and 6 p.m. I'm playing with the analytics a little bit to see which performs better. I know there is some level of science to YouTube, and I'm just trying to understand that a little bit further. Further to that, there'll be long form content. So the long form content goes out on a Tuesday and a Thursday. I've been putting it out at 9:15 recently, PM UK time. It seems to be performing better for doing that. And those can be comprising of a few different things. So currently at the moment, I'm doing kind of my talking cars series. So that's when I talk about top 5s, top 10s, most expensive cars in the world. And then I've got my Living With series. So obviously that was following the Ferrari 360, my Rosso Corsa manual car with a Nero leather interior, and also the 458 that I'm sat in now with obviously the Nero interior, carbon race bucket seats, carbon driving zone in Rosso Corsa. So I've been following that series and showing off the expenses of owning a car like this. And I hope you guys can realize that, okay, they are big ticket items. They're not as scary to live with as everyone makes out. I think one of the best kind of advocates for that has been Daily Driven Exotics. He's put a lot of time and effort into showing that, okay, if you do these mad things with these cars, they are going to cost you a lot of money. But if you stick to the routine maintenance and you treat them right and you garage them, you leave them on trickle charger, you take them out and use them regularly, these cars are just cars. They run. And one of the nice things, actually, not so much with the 458, but the 360, is because of the low production numbers of a car like that, you find that a lot of the parts are actually the same as something else. So one of the funniest ones I've ever seen was, I believe it's the hazard switch on a Fiat Panda is the exact same mechanism behind the obvious cover as the start-stop engine button on a Challenge Stradale. There's like these weird quirks that you see in that industry. One of the big ones is obviously Aston Martin. Obviously a lot of their parts used to be either Volvo or Ford, and hopefully I'll be able to show you that in the future. So that kind of opens up on the cars. Well, the 458, I've been quite honest on this channel, it's not mine. The 360 is mine. I bought that in 2022 November, so I've had that car just over 2 years, and it's currently up for sale. We've had a few people booked in to come and see it. The first one was a no-show, which was really unfair for the garage that I'm selling it with. I'm actually going to put the details under this video if you're interested in the car. It's a 1999 Ferrari 360 gated manual from factory. It's had full wheel refurb, full service history. It's a good, honest car. It's got 72,000 miles. So it is a high mileage hero, and I appreciate that appropriately, but it is that dream spec. So for the person that wants to use a car and enjoy it and not be worried about actually depreciating it too far, I think it's the perfect car. One of the key things I always think about is if a car's done that sort of mileage, 99% of the time, the things that you have to worry about in a low mileage example have already been done. So one of the key things was a heat exchanger. Now, effectively what that does is when the car is cold, the heat exchanger is there to basically run pipes past each other. One, I believe, is the gearbox fluid, and one is the engine oil or coolant. And in essence, what you're doing there is the coolant is warming up the transmission oil when it's cold, and then it does the opposite then when it's warm. So obviously the coolant then is cooling down the transmission oil after. So those are notably known for going wrong. They're actually copper, and over time they basically just wear away. The issue with that is it doesn't matter if you've got a low mileage one or a high mileage one, it's going to happen because in essence fluids are just sat there and wearing it down. I have obviously done that. The previous owner did a full suspension rebuild. I actually went through the car, I fitted Apple CarPlay, I had new aluminium trim fitted into the car, obviously the wheel refurb. We then put a whole new set of tyres on it. It's had 2 or 3 services in the time I've owned it, and further to that I've done little things like the boot latch, door latch. It's got new center caps, but the original center caps are actually in the front trunk. We also replaced the gear knob, but again kept the original one, so if anyone ever wants to put it back to fully bone stock original, it's all there to do so. And it's an amazing car. Really, in an ideal world, I wouldn't have to sell it, but maybe for the future of this channel and the future of my life, it's time to do the adult thing and sell it. The idea or concept then is to get something new. Now I'm in one of two minds with this. I can either go cheaper, so the idea is to get maybe like a 996 with a aero kit, factory aero kit, or a 997 with a factory aero kit and do a build on it, make it my dream spec as if I was kind of doing a bit of a resto mod but on a budget. Or I could go and get something like an Aston Martin Vantage, and I've spoke about this in my shorts a few times. I really like the idea of getting an Aston Martin Vantage, straight piping it, putting a satin black wrap on it or PPF, doing Apple CarPlay, so it's on the factory screen in the center, straight pipe, new wheels. I'd like to go up to like a 20-inch wheel on it, or even if you could get up to a 22 would be awesome. Lower it and make it look like this stealth machine. That's one of the other options. Further to that, well, I got a little bit distracted yesterday. I headed down to one of my favourite places in the world, and that is Baffle House. They've opened a new place. It's called The Old Post. It's in Cowbridge near Cardiff, and well, on the way down, I couldn't help but stop in the Porsche dealership. So stopped in the Porsche dealership and was walking around, and they really got me excited with something like a GT4 RS, or a Spider. You know, a Boxster Spider, something really cool. I would want it in quite a wacky colour, and it would have to have the carbon buckets, otherwise I wouldn't want it. Further to that then, after I went to Baffle House, I actually stopped off at a place called Better Performance in Cardiff. And what I think was really great about going there was effectively in that price bracket that I'm looking at, which could quite literally be from 20 grand to 80 grand, they had almost an example of everything that I was looking at. So I was able to look at a V10 Plus R8, which was in satin black and looked insane. They had, I believe, a yellow McLaren 540C, which shockingly, they basically said, unless I want to have quite significant maintenance costs, they said theirs was a very good one, but to be very cautious when buying one, they're probably not the right car for me. They had an incredible Cayman GT4 that had been set up by Manti Racing. That was wicked, although probably not perfect for the road. But they did say that in essence, if I wanted to, I could go out and drive all these cars and they could then look at sourcing something for me. So that's very different to obviously the 20, 30, 40 grand price point I've talked about. They're going up into the kind of higher echelons, and would obviously then require finance. So there's a few options in the future for what's coming, but one of the really nice things is, as I've spoke about before, I've got a Land Rover Defender coming. So because I have the Land Rover Defender coming, it means that I can go for something a little bit more outrageous, because I'm not using it every day then. It's not a daily. I appreciate the 360 was probably not the right daily, but it was the right opportunity, and I really didn't see the point in having two vehicles. I've never really spoke about it on this channel, but I work in tech and I work from home, so I'm not driving to an office back and forth every single day. So when I am using it, it's, you know, short daps, whether that's going to visit family, going to the shops, that sort of thing. So it didn't really matter in the way I was using it. So that kind of covers the car scenario. So obviously we've gone through the Defender, we've gone through the 360, which is hopefully for sale and sold by the point this video goes out. I'm really hoping so. And that will then start a new series. I quite like the idea of doing a finding my new supercar. And then following that would be the modifying my next supercar. So they're kind of the future in regards to that. Further to the content, I would love to really go heavy into the content. So obviously we've got the two Talking Cars series, we've got the Living With series. I am really playing around the idea of bringing out some sort of form of podcast, something where it's long form content, talking about maybe that's a manufacturer and what they're doing, or the history of a manufacturer, right through to maybe, I don't know, God tier lists of Ferraris, Porsches, etc., and making longer form content for people to digest appropriately. On top of that, there's the key thing of obviously making this an opportunity, and maybe one day this being something that I could do full time. And the way that I think I would achieve doing it full time is by putting out some more viral content. So obviously a lot of the stuff I've put out is semi-educational. It's showing off a car and showing you pieces or elements that you may not have seen before, and I want to continue doing that. That's kind of my bread and butter, and I'm very fortunate that a few people around me have some really great cars and actually have car dealerships. So I'm hoping that in the next year I can kind of step away from it just being the 360 and the 458, but maybe show you a Gen 1 R8, Gen 2 R8, a Jag XKR, all sorts really. And I'm really hoping that in the future I could potentially do that, subject to the owners saying yes, of course. And then speaking about dealerships and seeing if I can do a bit of a partnership with them in which I kind of can create some content on their cars. It's free publishing or social media for them and exposure, and I get to kind of experience different cars and show them off on the channel. But this is where I think the other content comes in, and it is that viral element of content that I need to start creating. So I've got a few ideas in the bank, and the idea is that these would go out in shorts form content, and I can then relay people to the long form, so hopefully they can learn about me. The idea is that it's getting something of a wider audience. I appreciate the car or automotive industry is a large one, but in essence it is a niche. And I would really love to try and hit a wider market, because if I do, and I can get to the 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, I can then earn money from this channel. And then the nice thing about that is the more it then creates, or the fact that it could then give me a salary, means I can spend more time on it. I have a bigger justification. You know, at the moment I'm working a full-time job, and then on a Saturday and Sunday I film and edit. Obviously, if it then started turning over a salary, I can do that in the evenings as well. I can make the time. I appreciate at the moment it's a hobby, so I've left it to just the weekends, but I could more than easily wake up a few hours earlier or work in the evenings to get content out. And then hopefully in the future, if it ever got to that, you know, mammoth size, it could be something that you could do full time and travel with it and, you know, experience more. But that's kind of the idea and the concept, and I appreciate me saying that it's a bit of a pipe dream that one day you could do it full time. But I think the opportunity's there. One of the key things I'm learning with YouTube is that the more work you put in, genuinely, the better it seems to do. Don't get me wrong, certain videos that you think you've put a lot of time and effort into might not do as well as you thought, but others do. And in essence, the consistency is the most important thing that I'm seeing. If I keep on putting content out, you have hits and misses, but you always keep on climbing in subs. Now, I'm conscious that I've probably put out about 155 videos over the last 4 or 5 months, and I've hit about 800 subs. Now, don't get me wrong, there's channels that start off and they make one video and they get 100,000 subscribers, and that would be the dream, but I'm really happy with the growth that I've seen. It's not an easy journey. And I think if you have that kind of blast of exposure, a lot of the time it disappears and dissipates. The idea of this is that I'm hoping that I can grow an audience, I can grow a group of people, and grow a community that I can talk to, I can chat to, I can experience these kind of cars with, and, you know, create something really quite special. And I think if you have that large exposure very quickly, it's kind of like if you light some petrol and it goes out immediately. I don't think it would last as long. So all I can say is a massive thank you to anyone that's joined and that's kind of been part of this community. I appreciate some of the content might not be for you, but hey, hopefully the next one will be. And that's maybe the main thing about this channel. I'm trying to do a few different things and see what works. The nice thing about when you are a small channel is you can be creative. The issue you then get is when you get to a larger channel, you're almost afraid to take risks. So because at the moment there are no sponsors, there are no ads, I can have a little bit of fun. And right now, this channel's probably costing me way more than it could even make if I was monetized, but I'm enjoying the journey. And I really hope you guys are too. So further to that, there is the potential of a giveaway at 1,000 subs. I quite like the idea of doing something like that. Fundamentally, I don't know how that works. I will have to look into the logistics, but it's been an amazing 2024. I wish everyone the best 2025 and hope they've had the most amazing holidays and had a break and a rest from, you know, daily life. And yeah, I look forward to 2025. I hope you guys will follow me on the journey. I appreciate every single one of you, and I really hope that you come across on this journey with me. If this is the first video you've watched and you've enjoyed or liked the sound of what will happen in the future, please get involved. It will be amazing. And as soon as that 360 is gone, you can see the content level up. Hopefully you've seen that over the last 155 videos. Started off with just my mobile phone, and since then I've been upgrading not just the software I use, but also the tech that I'm using. So hopefully every single video is getting better. The more I learn about the algorithm, hopefully makes the content more engaging. This video very much is for the subscribers, not so much a new audience. It's just to tell you where I'm at, what I want to achieve, and hopefully you guys will like the journey, follow on the journey, and subscribe. So thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.